Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and here I will be showing you another alternative build I've made using the parts from the LEGO Ninjago set number 71790 Imperium Dragon Hunter Hound set. Now, first and foremost, we will be taking a look at the build itself. And on first sight, you can see that this build is very turtle inspired. It takes some inspiration from the shape of a turtle. Well, first of all, let's take a close look at the head. If we can get a closer look on it. There we go. The head is a pretty simple build, but I think it works. I do like how these black parts here kind of form together to form like this horn on his head. Kind of gives it his head a triangular shape. Very nice. And something else I do honestly like to look of is these pyramid pieces, because when you like adjust them like through the lights, it kind of makes it look like his eyes are glowing. That's neat. And on top of his head, you do have a little bit of like gold armor plating and a little bit of that maroon color back here, which unfortunately does restrict head articulation a little bit, but we'll get to that later. Now moving back to the shell, you do see that I did utilize these beautifully sculpted gold parts on here to form this nice armored shell look, as well as a couple of extra gold pieces to give it an armored look, as well as a flag as well as using that Imperium flag on top. Up here, adding it to this black cylinder base, and it's a pretty simple build, but I think it works. Now looking up from here, you do see that I utilized a lot of the black parts, including the parts from certain parts from the legs, to give it give the shell a more round look, and that's very nice. And something that might be a little bit odd if you're into turtles is this spiky thing. Yes, this turtle-inspired build has a spiky tail and crab-like legs, and whatever these are. Very crazy. I said it was inspired by a turtle. I'm not saying it actually is a turtle. Very neat. Now, speaking of the legs, how about we move on to the legs? These legs are pretty neat. I did actually pull out the gold parts I used for my Dino Soldier mock and put it back on here to give you a better look on how this build would be if you used only its official parts list rather than the orange alternative. And of course I will flip it over to let you see how it looks from underneath. You can see that I basically built like this beam, this like skeletal structure here, added on the legs with a little bit of extra gold plating for underneath, and basically build a shell on top of it and added on a few other things to fill it out a bit. Again, not that complex. It's a pretty simple build overall, but I do like it. Now moving on to these things, and these things are kind of weird, are kind of odd. So what these are is, I sort of imagine these as like another type of creatures that would like be used by the Imperium. You know, these guys. Alongside like the hunter hounds and whatever. I just sort of thought, why not make just another type of creature that they can like ride, that they can ride with. And something I actually thought would be kind of cool is I can like have him so he's like holding on to the flag post and have it so that he's kind of riding like that. I do like that. I do think that's kind of fun. Now, of course, with this being pretty much built like a tank, of course it's going to have a little bit of firepower. I'm not sure if these guys use firepower, but I'm pretty sure that they could use firepower. I don't know if these guys use firepower or not because I didn't watch the show. But I just thought it would be kind of neat to give this turtle guy some firepower by flipping these out, utilizing these hinge joints to give him these cannons. And look at that. He has cannons on his. So now you can do a little bit of firepower. You can shoot things. Possibly shoot like the ninjas, which are also here. And on top of that, I kind of think it would be interesting to have this rotate and have this be its own turret. Then I thought, if I remove this, it could stand alone. It could stand alone as its own flag, but it can also rotate and shoot. Kind of neat, huh? And of course, if you want to, you can have the Imperium. You can have a soldier just sit or stand on top of the shell, and that's how it looks without anything on top of it. Very neat. For articulation, his head is on a ball joint. He can swivel around, look left and look right, look down a good bit, but unfortunately due to this piece being here to fill things out, it can't really look all that much up, but I think that's okay. The arms, they're on this weird hinge assembly right here that can rotate like 90 degrees when everything's moved out of the way. Boom, boom. Okay? Utilizing those like round 1x2 plates. And on top of that, they also have a ball joint here, so they have a good range of motion. So these arm things have a good range of motion. On top of this ratcheting hinge that can fold in about that far, and of course can fold out all the way. Very nice, and you can obviously, very neat. The legs, they're on a ball joint here, which they can rotate and do all that, but they also have individually articulated legs, and that same goes for all of the other legs all the way around. They each have these ball joints, they each have a good range of motion, and they each have these 3-digit legs. Kind of like a crab, but also not a crab. It's a weird hybrid thing, and I honestly kind of like it. And on top of that, he also has a ball joint on the tail. It can rotate up, it can move side to side, it can move down, and of course it can swivel around. And I thought we could take a closer look at the tail. Again, not that complex. It has a little bit of gold armor plating and these spikes to give it like a spiky tail on top of the firepower that it already has. And of course, if you want this creature to be more like concealed, you can just fold these. You just fold these weapons in and have it like that. Let's just add the flag back on. And next, I'm not doing size comparisons just yet. Right now, I'm actually going to show you the parts that have been left over after making this build. Of course, again, I've left, and just like the last alternative build, I've left these behind. This I left behind. These SCCBS armor shells I've also left behind. I've also left this behind. This I left behind, which is kind of odd. It's a really nice piece. Technic brick. Lots of stuff that I left behind, such as some Technic stuff, stickered parts, a lot of small things. In case it's not obvious, I'm not trying to utilize every single part for this alternative build. I'm just using what makes sense. Let's get those parts out of the way. Now of course we can move on to size comparisons. So obviously we have what I'm going to call the Imperium. Should I call it Imperium? Yeah, it is an Imperium. I did make it as an Imperium, like animal alongside that can fight alongside the Imperium. I guess I could call it a snappier. Sure, why not? Imperium snappier. Snappier as the species of this odd thing. A snappier. So here's the Imperium snappier. Obviously next to the minifigures that the set comes with. But in case the headgear throws you off, here he is next to a pretty standard minifigure build. That's how he compares to that. And compare him next to my previous alternative build that I've showed off, Bubbly. That's how he compares next to Bubbly. Well, I'm saying he, but this is really, I'm really like saying this as like I'm really made this as like a species that can easily be army builted. army built alongside the dragon hunter hounds. But I'm saying, like, where the hounds can smell down dragons, these creatures can be used alongside for extra firepower. They're kind of like tanks in a way, with extra firepower and dense armor. Very dense armor. It's kind of like a tank, but like a organic tank, possibly. That's just what I thought for it. Very neat. I honestly think it's very neat, but I would like to see what you think in the comments. Do you like this snappier? The snappier? Do you like snappier as a species? And all that? And of course, I will be posting a video on how to build this snappier. The snappier. Eventually, I will post a video on how to build this little guy. But until then, I guess that'll be it for this build right now. If you enjoyed this video, consider to like and subscribe, and maybe even comment if you want. And of course, I will be posting again sooner or later.